good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here this evening. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 6:01 p.m.
Mayor Walter,
Here.
Vice Mayor Woolridge,
Here.
Councilmember Hawkins,
Here.
Councilmember Galeen,
Here.
Councilmember Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Wall,
Here.
Councilmember Larson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to begin the meeting with a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could keep in your minds, this morning one of our local residents was recently found, and if you could keep him and his family in your mind at this time. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Start call to the public. Call to the public is for public comment on issues within the jurisdiction of the town of Florence. Council rules limit public comment to 3 minutes. Individual council members may respond to criticism made by those commenting, may ask staff to review a matter raised, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss or take action on any matter during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. Do we have any call to the public requests this evening? Are there any members of the public that would like to speak at this time? Okay, closing call to the public. Start with item 6A, and I'm going to turn the presentations over to Lisa for this portion. Item 6.
Item 6A, recognition of the 32nd Annual Historic Home Tour Committee. Mr. Brian Hughes.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. As you know, we had a successful historic home tour recently, and we wanted to recognize a couple of groups here this evening. So for this part of the presentation, I'm going to turn it over to John Nixon, who took the lead on the home tour for the town and worked with the committee throughout the last 11 months. So with that, John.
Thank you, Brian. Mayor and Council, it is indeed my pleasure to come before you to talk just a little bit about the home tour and about the home tour committee. Our home tour was held, the 32nd annual home tour was held February 11th, last Saturday, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We had over 800 paid visitors, and the reason I emphasize that is because just about all of us were confident there was over 1,000 people downtown and in our community that day for a variety of events as well. So the committee, we worked with the committee since last April to present the home tour. There's just an abundance of issues and items that needed to be discussed and decided upon. And again, it was my privilege and actually my honor to work with these people because they work so well together. They have the best interest of Florence and the home tour at heart. And did we always agree? Of course we did. No. No, we didn't. But we were able to put together what I think was a very good home tour, and based upon some of the comments that we've already received from our visitors, we're very pleased with how the home tour turned out. What I'd like to do is to call up the members of the committee for just a moment, and as I call your name, please come up. Allison Felice, Barb Kelly, Kathy Adam, Chris Reed, Jared Carroll, Larry Pfeiffer, Lori Wood, Lynn Smith, Sandy Walker, and Will Randolph. And ladies and gentlemen, could I please get a round of applause for these people for what they In closing, I just wanted to say, if I stood up here and told you what each of them individually did, we'd be here a long time, and I know we don't want to do that. But again, I just want to express my appreciation to every single member of the Home Tour Committee for all the work and dedication, all the meetings that we had. Those were meetings they came to, of course, on their own time and money, but they put in individually a lot more effort in promoting the home tour. The promotional efforts were just outstanding this year, and it was because of each of these individuals you see standing up here. One thing I'd like to mention, and it bears special mention, is Larry Pfeiffer told me this is his last year on the home tour. He's been on the home tour committee or worked on it for 25 years. So a round of applause. Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Item B, recognition of the Santan Foothills High School Drama Club Sabercat Playmakers for their participation in the Pearl Heart historical skits during the 32nd Annual Historic Home Tour. John?
Thought I was done there for a minute. Mayor and Council, one of the things that we talk about each year with the Home Tour Committee is, are there other events that we can present during the home tour that doesn't distract from the home tour but adds to the overall flavor of it. And we had three really neat events this year. Our Arts and Culture Commission presented and put together a quick draw art event, which was an auction for the finished art projects. And then the Pinal County Museum had the Buffalo Soldiers in a camp reenactment and also a presentation. And that was well attended as well. One of the things that turned out to be a pretty big hit, and the idea that came out of our committee, is can we put together some kind of play or reenactment that we can get high school kids to be interested in and present? Well, it didn't take long. We contacted Santan Foothills High School, and the drama teacher, Jared Carroll, just ran with it. We gave him the ideas. He worked with Chris Reed at the museum for a script, and I wasn't fortunate enough to see either of the plays. I was busy on the home tour, but what I heard was it was absolutely outstanding. And I'd like to have Jared Carroll come up, say a few words, and recognize some of the students that hopefully are here tonight, and thank them for their work. Jared?
Mayor and fellow council members, I want to take this opportunity to thank John and the Home Tour Committee for allowing us this great opportunity to get the youth involved with the history of our little community. Looking around the room, though, unfortunately, we only have one of my students who's able to make it. They are probably at home doing their homework like good high school students are supposed to do, right? But if I could please go ahead and have Morgana please stand up. She was one of the people instrumental in making this take care of. She had a role of the, what do we call her? What do we call him? The drummer, as a person who drummed up business as a salesperson from that time period. And so she was one of the reenactment people, and I want to thank her for coming out this way from our community over in Santan Valley to share this time to be recognized here for her hard work and her effort. We're looking forward to having another opportunity in the future with the Home Tour Committee as well as other organizations here in town of Florence to help the youth of today get acquainted with the history. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and we do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Did anyone video that presentation?
I actually did videotape it, and I have a copy, and if I can share it with, I can probably send it to John through email, and he can probably share it with whoever else would like to see it as well.
Ready? You like real moments. All right, ready? Hold on. Okay. Thank you so much. We look forward to this a lot.
Item C, recognition of Pulte Homes as the 150th anniversary sponsor. Allison Felice and Brian Hughes.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We would like to take the time to recognize Pulte Homes as our 150th sponsor. They're being recognized as the Levi Regal sponsor. They donated $10,000 to the 150th celebration. The town produced a number of successful events throughout 2016 that attracted thousands of people to the community. Thank you, Pulte Homes, for your donation and partnership. It is greatly appreciated by the town of Florence. As a token of our appreciation, the town of Florence would like to present a shadow box with memorabilia from the 150th celebration. And just so you guys can see as well, but, oops.
I know.
Here's the 150th memorabilia for them.
I'd like to invite Randy from Pulte Homes to come up and accept this and get a picture with the mayor. Thank you. I really appreciate your support.
Yeah.
Thank
Cool.
you, Randy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Mark will help you with the program, anyhow. Get a new battery.
Let me try one more time.
All right, we'll give you one more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item D, presentation of the Town of Florence ISO rating. Chief Dave Strayer will be presenting.
Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of council, it gives me a great deal of pleasure tonight to share some wonderful news regarding our recent ISO grading that occurred back in October. I wanted to just give you the highlight reel here tonight. The report itself is about 30 pages long. You're welcome to see it, but just wanted to hit the high points tonight. A little background here, ISO is the leading supplier of data and analytics for the property casualty insurance industry. So pretty much all insurance companies go to them for their data and make their decisions about rates based on this data. We were rated back in October. This occurs every 10 years up to this point. Going forward, it's going to start occurring every 4 years. But we were last rated in 2005. We did receive an upgrade in our classification from 4/9 to a class 3/3X. This will go in effect May 1st of 2017. So what does that mean? What are the benefits of having this? Well, like I said, insurance companies use this data for underwriting and for calculating premiums. That's for all types of property, residential, commercial, and industrial. Though, I need to stress, though, that each insurance company independently determines the premiums. Communities whose public classifications improve may get, underline may, get lower insurance premiums. It's really something you have to talk to your insurance company about. This process provides fire departments with a very valuable tool for planning going forward. So how do we continue to improve and continue to increase that grade? So there's a lot of benefits from doing this, not the least of which is potentially a savings community-wide on insurance rates. Just again, a little explanation on the difference between a 4.9 and a 3/3X. The first classification applies to properties 5 road miles from a recognized fire station within 1,000 feet of a fire hydrant. And then the second class applies to properties beyond 1,000 feet, but within 5 miles of a recognized fire station. So there are some undeveloped areas in town that do not have fire hydrants yet. So they would fall into the 3X side. So it used to be a 4.9, now is a 3/3X, but essentially it means the same thing in terms of how it's described. And it has to do with water supply and distance from the fire station. So I put both reports up here to kind of tell you how this works and what they measure. And there's really three or four elements here that they're looking at. Obviously, fire departments don't operate independently. They have a lot of support. They have a water system, which is managed by our Public Works Department. We have an emergency communications center, which is managed by our police department. And so as you look through, I've just kind of highlighted where the major improvements were. Our fire department improved from a previous score of 28.63 to 35. And believe me, every one of these points are hard earned. They don't come easy. The water supply improved from a 25.42 to a 28.46. And they added a new criteria here called community risk reduction, and that has to do with code enforcement primarily and public education, so dealing with the schools and some of the other programs, Fire Safe Seniors, sprinkler systems, all kinds of elements like that. So when you tally it all up, our total score went from a 60.14 to a 72.45. Again, each point is hard-earned. But a lot of hard work went into this from a lot of departments. And I know the town has really committed to the fire department with the new station, all the new equipment, all the training that they've supported. And this is part of the payoff from doing that is this improved grade. So by way of comparison, when you look at nationwide, where fire departments fall, you can see a Class 3 really puts us about in the top 10% of fire departments nationwide in terms of our rating. So it's really thrilled about this, and really thrilled the community really supports its fire department in so many different ways, and that we were able to achieve this together. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the grading or anything else.
Does any member of council have any questions for Chief Strayer at this time?
Yes, I have a question. The first category, we went down in that one.
Yes. The lower the grade, the better. A 1 is the very best grade, 10 is the very worst. So we went from a 4.9 to a 3/3X.
And I'm talking about on the summary report.
Over here?
Yeah.
Yes.
We went from 7.35 down to a 5, is that 5.8 or something?
Yes. You can see that they have changed that from receiving and handling fire alarms to emergency communications. Along with that, there's a little change in how they calculate that. There's more data in the full report that we could get into as to why that is, but it's not necessarily apples to apples because of the way they changed what they're scoring. It's hard to explain the technical side of that without getting into the full report here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Chief Strayer. Brent, do you have something you'd like to add?
Madam Mayor, I wanted to reemphasize a couple of things that the chief said. Council and the citizens of Florence should be exceptionally proud of their fire department, their public works water department, as well as their police dispatch dispatch function. I have never heard of a town Florence's size receiving a 3 before. There are a lot of very large communities that are very sophisticated with budgets that are 10, 100 times larger than ours that have tried and tried and tried to receive a 3 rating and have been unable to. So that last slide that the chief put up there that showed us in the top 10% of all communities nationally, that's not towns Florence's size. That's Phoenix and Tucson and New York City and San Francisco. Do the math. 2,600, I think I saw, that were Category 3 cities. Do the math in these United States. We are flying in very rarefied air in terms of how the ISO feels about this department and this city and our ability to respond to our citizens. And I just didn't want that to be lost on those folks in the audience and those folks watching from home today.
Thank you, Brent.
Item E, presentation and discussion approval, disapproval of the Town of Florence 2017 General Plan Amendment application and hearing schedule. Mr. Mark Eckhoff.
Mayor, Council, real briefly, this is kind of an annual bookkeeping item essentially that we take care of. One is to kind of look back and at the previous year on what we did as far as amending the general plan, and two is looking forward on what we anticipate to do as far as changing our general plan and setting a date for major general plan amendments. Mayor, Council, as you know, the state law requires that we, number one, have to identify what is a minor amendment to the general plan, what is a major amendment, and then major amendments to our general plan can only be conducted one time a year. And so every year we go forth and set a process of what the application, setting the application and setting the dates for that meeting. We actually haven't had a major amendment to the plan in a while. We still go forward and establish this process. So if folks are contemplating a major change, or if we are, we have the application in hand and we have the date set. The major amendment cycle is when in the past we've gone out to Anthem for that extra meeting on amending the general plan. So we have the application set here, we have the date set here, and we'll advertise that and talk to folks if they are contemplating an application when they have to get it in, because again, major amendments can only be done one time a year. Now, minor amendments we can continue to take throughout the year. But again, as I noted, there hasn't been much activity on amending the general plan in the last couple of years. I believe that that will change as we see development activity picking up and some new growth happening. We also this year would expect at least a minor amendment probably to come in, and probably a staff-initiated minor amendment to do some type of update on where the north-south corridor is standing today. That's a freeway corridor, a proposed freeway corridor that is located on our plan. Potentially we may also look at some other amendments, but right now that's the one that I could think of at this time. And then of course we're really kind of gearing up, as you know, through the budget cycle, of gearing up to start preparing for the 10-year update to the general plan. So as we've talked about doing the strategic plan, we're completing that process, but very soon that's going to lead into essentially what becomes a 2-year process of updating the general plan in its entirety, and then bringing that back to the voters in 2020, which seems like a long ways away, but actually it'll come up before we know it. But that's about all I have on this item. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Does any members of council have any questions for Mr. Eckhoff? I did want to just say the dates, so this way if any members of the audience are wondering when those dates are going to be, the first meeting date is September 21st, 2017. The second meeting date will be October 5th, 2017. And our town council meeting will be on November 6th, 2017. The submittal deadline for any proposals would be May 1st, 2017. So those are the dates that you'd want to keep in mind.
Great. Thank you for sharing that.
All right. Thank you so much. With that, we would like a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Town of Florence 2017 2017 general plan amendment application and hearing schedule.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Item F, presentation of the 2016 annual report from the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Jennifer Evans.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, and members of the council. This presentation by the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce is part of the requirement that we have with them through their contract, their annual contract. And before I turn it over to Lori, I'd just like to recognize we have Travis Thompson here. He's a recent addition to the Board of Directors, so I'd like to welcome him. And then I will turn it over to Lori Wood, the Executive Director of the Chamber.
Thank you, Jennifer. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. The annual report for 2016 is as follows. Business of the quarter. The following businesses for each quarter are: first quarter, Florence Fudge Shop, Valentino's, Bucks for Style. Second quarter, Florence Paralegal. Third quarter, Arizona Public Service. Fourth quarter, Sonrisa Insurance. The Chamber revised the 2016 membership directory, creating a more accurate and updated 2016-17 directory. The Chamber continued with their monthly luncheons. January, Old Pueblo Restaurant. Speaker was Apache Gold Casino. February, Holiday Inn, now Green Tree. Speaker, Mayor Rankin. March, LB Cantina. Speakers, Town of Florence Police and Fire Chiefs. April, Holiday Inn, now Green Tree, Rodney Mendoza, Aflac. May, Conquest Arms. Speaker, Coolidge Florence Elks Lodge. June, Green Tree Inn. Speaker, APS, Representative John Hatfield. July, the Main Street Vault. Speaker, Anna Rivera of the SBA. August, Old Pueblo Restaurant. Speaker, Arizona Secretary of State Michelle Reagan. September, Florence Women's Club. Speaker, Edward Jones. October, Valentino's. Speaker, Lene Austin of Future Forward Foundation. November, LB Cantina. Speaker, Beth Betty. December, FUSD. Speaker, Richard Franco. The monthly mixers were held the first Thursday of every month for our members. Special events held were the first annual Second Chance Prom was held on June 11th, 2016 at the Windmill Winery and was very well attended. Chamber Casino Night was July 31st, 2016 and was held at the Coolidge Florence Elks Lodge. There were many amazing prizes and it was very well attended. Meet the Candidate forums were held in August at the Sun City Anthem Ballroom and the Windmill Winery. They were also extremely well attended. As of December 31st, 2016, our membership totals are 218 of current paid members and 37 new members for the year of 2016. The Chamber and McFarland are fully staffed and are keeping regular hours. The Florence Visitor Center had 7,984 visitors during the year of 2016. We also partnered with Arizona Workforce to create an access point at the Visitor Center for job seekers. The gift shop in McFarland started carrying ACI products, including their baked goods, which are a major hit. McFarland Park hosted several events in 2016, including chamber mixers, a veteran display, home tour. Gene Groen, an author of Uses of Prickly Pear Cactus, Hoyt Huckabee gave a lecture, and Phil Reinhardt spoke on Peralta stones. The Chamber offered 3 $1,000 scholarships to graduating Florence Unified School District seniors. They were required to write an essay on the future of Florence through my eyes, as well as complete 10 hours of community service. We are looking towards a productive 2017, and we truly appreciate the support of the town of Florence. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your report. Any members of council have questions from that informational session? All right, thank you for all your hard work. It's very appreciated. Moving on to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be handled by a single vote as part of the consent agenda unless a council member or a member of the public objects at the time the agenda item is called. Item A is a recommendation of approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control on the Cocopelli Moon Saloon's application for temporary extension of premises patio permit for the Road to Country Thunder event on April 1st, 2017. Item B is recommendation of approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor Licenses and Control on the Pinal County Historical Society Incorporated application for a special event liquor license for the Greater Florence Chamber of Commerce mixer to be held on April 11th, 2017. Item C is approval of the January 3rd, January 13th, and January 17th, 2017 Town Council meeting minutes. Item D, receive and file the following board and commission minutes. First, December 8th, 2016, Arts and Culture Commission minutes. Second, October 26th, 2016, Historic District Advisory Commission minutes. And item 3, October 27th, 2016, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board minutes. That is your consent agenda. Is there any member of the public that would like anything removed at this time? Is there any member of council that would like any of the items removed? With that, I need a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda items A, B, C, and D.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8 is new business. Discussion, approval, disapproval of authorizing staff to commence development agreement negotiations with Artisan Acres LLC and other associated parties seeking to enter into a development agreement with the town of Florence in order to facilitate the proposed expansion of the Windmill Winery project in Florence, Arizona. Brent Billingsley will be presenting.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, it's a proud day for certainly the staff at the town of Florence, and I know for Mr. Harold Christ and his development team to be before council with respect to our adopted process for handling development agreements. As you can see from the packet before you, the town has received a very comprehensive application packet, and I believe that Mr. Christ and his partners would like us to begin negotiations towards a development agreement for a product hereby known as Artisan Acres that is adjacent to the Windmill Winery property. Of course, council is very familiar, and those watching us on TV are familiar as well because we just processed an application through planning and zoning with respect to the project and its extension in our forgetting the name of the district. What do we call it? The Territory Square District that came before council. We've received a lot of excellent information. There's concepts in your packet that describe what is to be provided, but for those folks that are watching us on TV tonight, it's a boutique hotel and potentially 2 other buildings in what we're calling phase 1, one of which would be a repurposed cotton gin that would serve as an entertainment area as well as a bridal suite to continue the investments that Mr. Christ has made to our community with the Windmill Winery and the venue it's become with respect to weddings. Mr. Christ is here tonight to speak to you and answer any questions that you might have. We are looking for approval from council to enter into negotiations regarding a potential development agreement with respect to the Artisan Acres LLC property.
Thank you, Brent. Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, it's a privilege to be here tonight. We're really excited about this project. It's kind of the fruition of being able to take the windmill into another phase. We've needed a place for people to stay for an extended period of time. We've needed some larger space for larger events. We're beginning to do a lot more corporate business, and this will allow us to be able to do that. It's a very unique project, as you've seen from some of the presentations that have been made, even to the extent the cotton gin, I hate to say this, but it came from Coolidge, only because we couldn't find one in Florence. But inside that cotton gin, which is about 45 feet high, there is or will be a old crop duster that will hang in there. It is kind of reminiscent of what happens with cotton and what it meant to this community and what it meant to agriculture. So we are petitioning tonight to be able to continue to work with the staff, which we've had a great relationship between the council and our council, and Mark and Brent, and to be able to pull all these things together. There's a lot of pieces, as you know, that have to happen to make these things all come to fruition. So that's our desire tonight, and we'd appreciate you helping us move along. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
Are there any members of council that have any questions at this time?
I just have a question about the timeline.
Well, this is the 21st. If we could have everything happen by tomorrow, we're ready to go. We plan a groundbreaking in April, and so that's our target date. We'd like to be open towards the end of this year. So that's the desire to really make this happen.
Thank you.
Really excited that you're bringing this project and advancing what you've already created in town. You've brought people to the town of Florence, not only from within our community, around our state, but around the country and worldwide. So thank you for everything that you're doing, and we're looking forward to.
Thank you. People really, really enjoy Florence. It's been a real pleasure to have them discover what all that Florence has to offer. So thank you all for doing that.
Thank you. At this time, we need a motion directing staff.
I'd like to make a motion directing staff to commence development agreement negotiations with Artisan Acres LLC and other associated parties seeking to enter into a development agreement with the town of Florence in order to facilitate the proposed expansion of the Windmill Winery project in Florence, Arizona.
Second. A motion and multiple seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, and motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
So you can start working on it tomorrow.
Okay, item B will be discussion, approval, disapproval to enter into a contract with Holbrook Asphalt Company to provide HA5 high-density mineral bond pavement preservation treatment in various locations in an amount not to exceed $207,713.28.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council. One of my early projects for the town of Florence was to evaluate the pavement throughout the 3 different demographic areas, determine what technologies we'll be using in those areas that are most cost-effective, and not just cost-effective in the short term, but in the long term. The town has previously used HA5, so we are actually listed as one of the users long-term throughout the industry. We have a project that is approximately, I think, 5 to 6 years old, as well as we recently did a project on Merrill Ranch Parkway last year of the same material, the HA5. I was not convinced when I first got here of this product. It was a concern of mine. I met with 3 different reps of the company and probably on the order of, I'd say, 40 to 50 emails, as well as I think about 8 different references I've called from other towns and cities regarding public works directors, street superintendents, and read every available engineering document on the product. I am convinced that this is a great product. It provides trying to put it into an easy to understand terms, it reduces the amount of cracks. Ultimately, one of the expressions that's often used for this material is it keeps the neighborhoods black. That was the least of my concern. Though it is important and it does add value to the homes, that it looks nice and new. Ultimately, the town is going to be responsible for repairing these roads throughout their lifetime. We accepted the maintenance of those roads, and so the idea is to reduce cracks and reduce oxidation. And all the engineering provided, as well as all the, again, different references on this material checked out with an outstanding yes, including our own staff seem to really enjoy the product. Length of time that is needed between applications. It comes with a 5-year warranty that no other product similar to this has, as well as it's often touted to go 7 to 8, 9 years, 10 years. So cost benefit more than outweigh the cost increase. With that, we have listed a total, I believe, of 5 different areas. We have units 11 and 13 in Anthem Merrill Ranch, Florence Gardens 2, Phase 2, Phase 3, and the, Lisa, the name of the subdivision? Sunrise Estates as well. And these were, well, we've called it the wrong name since I've been here for 8 months. I can't remember the right name now. And this, like I said, this is a list of every street that we have ranked throughout the town, and these are the priorities for this type of product. As I indicated, we've selected certain products for certain streets, areas where the streets are able to be saved in their current configuration are receiving this type of product. This is not a product that is used for a road that is badly alligatored, block cracked, distressed. This is for a road that is in relatively decent condition as far as the cracking goes.
Okay, are there any members of council that have any question for Chris at this time?
No.
Can I make one suggestion? Something that would be helpful for me, and I did look it up prior to the meeting, but if we could have a map of the area. And I understand, but just for the viewers, if we could have had it reflected behind, and I'm sorry I didn't say something prior.
Not a problem. In the future, we'll make sure we have maps. One area that I neglected to mention, our contract that we have is in an amount that includes the contingency as well.
Yeah.
It's indicated in the staff report, but it's not very clear about how it ties into the contract. Our contract includes owner's contingency.
Yes. Okay, if there are no questions for Chris, then we need a motion at this time.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into a contract with Holbrook Asphalt Company to provide HA5 high-density mineral bond pavement preservation treatment in various locations in an amount not to exceed $207,713.28.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Appreciate the research that you put into this and your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C is discussion approval, disapproval to enter into a contract with Cactus Asphalt through a Pinal County cooperative contract to provide polymer modified asphalt paving in an amount not to exceed $481,334.56.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council. Very similar to the last presentation. Again, an extensive research into this product. We've been using this product in one form or another over approximately the last 10 years in a polymer modified chip seal. The town of Florence used it approximately about 9 months ago, just before I was hired. There were projects done in the town, and this is just an extension of that same technology being applied throughout the town. This includes a small amount of crack sealing if the town staff is not able to get out in front of all these projects. It also includes some areas that are in literally where there's no chip seal left near the curb and gutter, so we have asphalt repairs as well. I do have a list of all the streets that we're planned to improve. Would you like to know the extent of those? Read that into the record?
Yes, I would.
We have Felix Road from approximately the railroad to Pinto Pony Drive, Willow from the high school to Ruggles, Circle from Willow to the cul-de-sac, Central from 9th to Adamsville, Butte is not included, Van Haren, Main to the high school, Phoenix Street from Ruggles to First Street, King from First Street to Ruggles, Butte from Main to Willow, 3rd from Pinal Street to Pinal Parkway, which I do believe some of that is Pinal County parking lot, so that will be revised. It was just our limits internal. 11th from Main to Florence, and 13th from Main to Florence. This also includes a separate project identified in the CIP in Attaway. Arizona Farms to Judd. All this is in the CIP, and we are actually slightly under the amount budgeted for our pavement preservation project for the year, even with both contingencies.
And I was going to say, the other part you didn't give credit for is you had given us those streets before, as well as the CIP referencing where the funding was coming from. So we appreciate that double diligence.
Everything is, like I said, in the CIP, we're under budget, and that includes the contingencies that we will not be using in their complete extent. This is just, again, in case we run into some of the measurements being slightly off, being performed by Google Earth versus the application rate. The way that the contracts are written by Pinal County, everything is by the material amount. So we will actually get real weight tickets from the trucks, and we will use those to work with the finance department to pay the invoices. So that's impossible to do in advance. You just make an estimate. So sometimes some streets may be low, some streets may be high. Our estimate should be very close, but just in case we go slightly over, we have contingency. I prefer this type of contract because the contractor gets paid for what is done. When you often pay for by a linear foot, the contractor has little motivation to put down as much product as he wants. He may have just the opposite. He may put down as little as he can so that he makes the most amount of money. In this way, we're paying them for the actual amount of material that goes under the ground, so he's incentivized to put it on slightly nice and thick. This is my preferred method of payment. And it's much easier to track. You have a real accounting system of actual weight tickets.
Thank you very much. Are there any members of council that have questions for Chris at this time?
I have a question. What's the timing on this, Chris?
We should be starting quite soon, probably early March.
And completion by when?
Before the fiscal year. That's the answer always, right? Before the fiscal year.
It's always the goal.
Okay, good deal.
We do have one minor thing to add. We need to pull out the terms and conditions on the actual quotes that were provided by the vendor. We do not sign their terms and conditions. They will sign our terms and conditions through the contract and through our PO process, our purchase order process.
All right, thank you. At this time, we need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to enter into a contract with Cactus Asphalt through a Pinal County cooperative contract to provide polymer modified asphalt paving in an amount not to exceed $481,334.56.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 9 is our legislative report.
Do any members of council have questions regarding the legislative report submitted by Jess? If so, now is the time. If not, we'll move on.
I just have a question about the legislative day on Thursday. Are there any specific bills that we should be talking to our legislators about?
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Wall, we'll have a list. These bills are changing on a day-by-day basis, so we'll have a list in advance of the Thursday KEG Legislative Day, and we'll have some discussions before that and on the way there as well too. So some of the big bills that are occurring right now with regards to the small cell small cell bills they're advancing. The CFD bill is being modified. There's some language in there that makes it a little bit more palatable to cities and towns, providing some local authority. Pinal County RTA, we had Andy Smith from the county at the last council meeting talking about the legislative changes to allow for the county to put on the ballot a half-cent sales tax. And Representative Shope had a bill that would exclude purchases over $10,000. That looks like it's stalling, so I'm sure there'll be some discussions because it's a bill that affects us within the region. Those are some big ones. Chief Strayer, our fire chief, identified a bill that I hadn't just last week that felt really real concerned about, that I was not previously aware of. But it minimizes the fire flow regulations for residential properties that are being constructed. There's some real concern among the chiefs across the state, and obviously Chief Strayer is certainly concerned about that. That's a discussion that we can have on Thursday, making sure that these homes, when they're built, have the fire flow that's necessary for the fire operations to assist with any type of emergencies that do occur. Lastly, I will just say that House Bill 2088, the incorporation bill with regards to Santan Valley, that did pass both houses and was transmitted to the governor on Friday of last week. Still waiting to see how the governor's going to respond, but that could be any day now. He has 1 week to respond. So those are some of the high points right now and low points, depending on how you look at it. But we'll have some more discussions as some activity occurs in committee and on the floor. Things are happening very, very quickly right now.
Thank you.
On the House Bill HB 2143, the public contracts procurement, I've been noticing there's a lot of cities and towns that are against this, and I agree. It's going to make it, it's going to hold up repairs and projects if they pass this. I think we should talk against it. I mean, that's, you know, when you have anything that exceeds 25,000, you have to put it out for bid. That slows the whole process down, and there's a lot of times that you have projects that have to be done in a quick manner, and that's really going to hold everything up. So hopefully some of I know Phoenix, Tucson, a lot of your bigger cities have voiced opposition to it, and hopefully they can carry enough weight.
Councilmember Hawkins, you're dead on it. This would be a devastating bill to cities and towns, including Florence, just in the amount of waste that would have to take place for any activity, any project, any maintenance project, anything whatsoever. If it exceeded $25,000, the town would have to go through a procurement process and solicit bids. Right now, that amount is $200 and some thousand, $212,000, I think it is right now. So to take that from that level down to $25,000 creates an undue burden on cities and towns. The good news is right now, ask me again tomorrow, but right now it looks like it's stalled in the House and in committee in the House. So we're hoping it stays there.
Thank you. Brent, you looked like you wanted to add something onto that.
A little bit of history, and some of you probably are aware of this, but a little over 2 decades ago, there was a instrumental lawsuit in the state of Arizona, and I happened to work at Pinal County in the time when it took place. When I first started working for Pinal County as an intern when I was in college, we were one of the largest land contractors in the western United States, meaning we had scrapers, bulldozers, graders. We did our own paving projects. We had 2 different paving crews at that time, and at one time, that's all they did all summer, is 2 different paving crews went out. They were county crews, and we build our own roads. We got sued by a local contractor named Aiken Gardner. and we lost in court. And that put to effect what was called the Aiken-Gardner legislation. It started at a value of $150,000. Any project over $150,000 had to be bid out to contractors, and the counties and the cities could no longer do that work. Now, it had an escalator clause over time, and as Jess says, now that value is a little over $200,000, which, as you know, from a council perspective, $200,000 is not a lot of work. Because you see the value of some of these construction projects that we bring before you that are in the millions. This legislation not only would slow us down, in my opinion, it would take away our ability to do in-house maintenance work. So every year our council is very used to seeing our crews out doing crack sealing on the streets. $20,000 worth of crack sealing is a very small amount of crack sealing. We would then have to bid out that work and pay a contractor to do that work. We could no longer utilize our own crack seal machine and our own crews to do that work. We'd have to bid that out to a contractor. And that's a really challenging thing when we're being asked as communities to maintain hundreds of lane miles of roads. And, we have crews that are very skilled and trained to do that work. I believe the crack seal work that our crews do here in Florence is better than any work I've ever seen a contractor do. They really take care. They do a nice job. We have good equipment, and they take pride in their work.
All right, thank you very much, both of you. Moving on to our town manager's report.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I have several things this evening. I'll try to keep most of them positive. First off, I'm here to report that we received a FEMA Southern Arizona Community Risk Reduction Grant, specifically to the fire department. And as part of that grant, we received 402 10-year tamper-proof smoke detectors, 96 carbon monoxide detectors, 12 ADA strobe smoke detectors. Those are for folks that are hearing disabled. 16 fire extinguishers, 2 large containers of screws, 250 fire safety brochures, an iPad Air tablet, and an iPad Air ruggedized, that's what it says, ruggedized, I'm not sure that's a word, case. And that's in addition to the 100 smoke detectors and 69 night lights that we'd already received from this grant. So congratulations to the fire department, and thank you very much to FEMA of Southern Arizona. I wanted to report that there were a record number of attendees this year for the father-daughter dance that was on February 11th, and I wasn't one of them. I'm not proud of that, but I will tell you I've been beat up by my kids for not taking them to the father-daughter dance, but we had another commitment. We had 149 people attend this year's event, so congratulations goes out to the Parks and Rec team. As you know, we have Jasper up front today, and we're used to seeing Rose over in that chair, so welcome Jasper. But we've got several events coming up at the library I wanted to bring to everybody's attention. Our February movie is going to be on February 25th, and Girl on a Train, I believe, is the movie at that event. As you know, we've been setting record numbers, so I'm sure that Jasper will be ready if we need to expand our seating. Once again, 1 p.m., February 25th. We have Faith in the Borderlands presentation from Dr. Lee Surratt, who's of ASU School of Historical. Wow. Very long name here that I'm having a hard time, but she's from ASU. She's a professor. She's coming down here to give a presentation on faith in the borderlands, and if you've been to the library, you'll see that there's signs posted throughout. And then something close to Lisa's heart, on Thursday, March 9th, and on Lisa's calendar at 2 p.m. is the 3D printer demonstration at the library. So if you want to see Lisa and watch her get geeked out over a 3D printer, that would be the day, 2 p.m., February, March 9th. We saw a presentation earlier with respect to the home tour. We heard the numbers. There was a report that was generated from that. I just wanted to tell council that I'm very proud of our team, very thankful of all the volunteers and the people that contributed in the program. I've been involved and I've attended a number of similar events, similar to our home tour, all over the state of Arizona and actually one in Colorado. I've never seen one that was well organized and as well planned as our home tour. Last year, my family and I came to the home tour and went through most of the houses, and we never had to wait in line. This year, at every single house, and to get on the bus, we had to wait in line to go. As somebody who attended the high school kids presentation at the courthouse, it was fantastic. The young lady that was recognized here today, she was a traveling snake oil salesman, and so they even entertained you before the actual play or acting out the court case. So her, for example, she walked around and she tried to sell her wares, and as she did that, she handed you a little manila envelope. My kids both have theirs, and they're driving everybody crazy with it, and it said, "Warning, rattlesnake eggs." And then it gave you a little script that you read to people before you hand them the bag. And of course, when you hand them the bag, the bag opens and it starts rattling, and the people drop it on the ground and get scared. Just those little things that were done as part of that exhibition that were absolutely fantastic. And my mind went in 100 different directions of how we can capture that thought process, that creativity in those young folks in some of our future events. It was inspiring. So thank you very much for the council support. Thank you very much, John and Brian and all the folks that worked so hard for that event. In closing, there's a number of things that I wanted to bring to folks' attention regarding some of the meetings that we've had recently where we talked about Florence Copper and various permits, applications, et cetera. And there's a lot of information out there that isn't necessarily accurate, and so I was asked by our attorneys to make a statement. First off, with respect to the aquifer protection permit, it is being appealed. The town and Southwest Value Partners filed an appeal to ADEQ, which is the agency that issued the APP. The hearings are set for March 6th and 7th before the Water Quality Appeals Board. At the close of that hearing and within some days thereafter, the Water Quality Appeals Board will issue a decision. For any of you that know, the town has been through this process previously with the Water Quality Appeals Board, so this will be the second time. Regarding the Pinal County air quality permit, I wanted to bring to everybody's attention that Pinal County held a public hearing on January 4th, 2017. A public hearing to receive comments. Unfortunately, that public hearing, the recordings didn't take place, and so all the comments that were provided were not able to be recorded as required per law. So tomorrow, the hearing has been rescheduled. It'll once again be at the Pinal County Superior Court Jury Assembly Room, which is at 971 North Jason Lopez Circle, Building A, Florence, Arizona. It's the big courthouse here in town. That will be at 6 p.m. tomorrow, November 22nd. It's expected that sometime after that public hearing, Pinal County will issue written responses to all comments received. Based on those comments, Pinal County can either modify the existing permit, issue the permit, or deny the permit. With respect to the federal EPA underground injection permit, the permit was issued on December 20th, 2016. 4 parties have filed appeals, including the town of Florence and the Gila River Indian community. EPA has extended the period to respond to April the 7th, in which it can respond to the 4 folks that have submitted appeals, and those replies will be due on April 24th. Once considered, the appeals will go before the U.S. Environmental Appeals Board. The U.S. Environmental Appeals Board has full discretion on whether it will grant a hearing on the appeals. Pending resolution of the appeals, the U.S. Department Environmental Appeals Board will I've got to read this better. Pending resolution of the appeals, the U.S. Environmental Appeals Board stayed the entire UIC permit, which means none of the UIC permit conditions can be implemented until the appeals are resolved. So that permit is stayed until the appeals are reviewed and responded to. Madam Mayor, that ends my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Brent. I was also hoping you would add something to your presentation. You sent out an email to mayor and council from a sad event. Would you be willing to share that?
I think it would be more appropriate if Chief Dan Hughes shared our press release of today.
I don't have the press release with me at this time, but I can tell you that we did find Mr. Neal. He had walked away from the hospital several weeks ago. He met with some officers. After walking away from the hospital, they asked him to go back. It was within his rights not to go back. We did follow up and check on him several times, put the helicopter up from Pinal County. We had several different agencies out looking for this individual along with officers on their days off, and unfortunately we were not able to find him until it was too late.
I wanted to say that we're proud of our community efforts as well as our police efforts and everybody that came together.
It's unfortunate, but a lot of good people did go out and spend a lot of time looking for Mr. Neal, and it's one of those unfortunate incidents that we really don't have a lot of control over. But our condolences do go out to the family, and hopefully something like this won't occur again in the future.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll have call to the council. Council Member Larson.
I just wanted to start out by saying thank you to Brian Hughes as well as John Nixon for the home tour. I know my family, we attended and we really enjoyed it. Also wanted to say that Kathy, we rode on your train or trolley and my kids loved it, and also like to hear a lot of the history that you had to offer. Also wanted to say thank you to Chief Strayer for your continued service, as well as putting Florence in such a great position. We really do appreciate all the hard work that you and your men have done. And I think that's it for now. I appreciate everybody coming out today, and see you in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you. Council Member Wall.
I'll just ditto what Kristen just said. I'm always amazed at how well organized the home tour is. You walk around town and you see people that aren't from town raving about what a great tour it is. It's really rewarding to hear. So thank you to all your crew and all the volunteers who put this together. I'd also like to thank the fire department, Chief Strayer, the contributions of the police department and the public works department to increasing our ISO rating. As a residential insured person, I know how critical this is to the rates that we pay for homeowners insurance, and I'm assuming it also reflects on the rates that our businesses in town would pay. So it's really critical and commendable what has been accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
Yes, on the home tour, my wife and I walk our dogs each morning, and we had a neighbor come out and stop us to thank us for the home tour. And he said that they attended the event at the courthouse and how much they enjoyed it. It was, and it's nice to hear that from the people, and I think just want to share that. Other thing, I attended the Pinal Partnership meeting this month. The guest speakers were the county supervisors. And not to my surprise, but their concerns are pretty well what our concerns are. Transportation, big item. One spoke about his concern about schools. One spoke about his concern about our water. It was good to hear that we're on the same chain as they are. Also got an invite from one of the council members, commissioners rather, to come and talk to him about any concerns that we have. So I'll talk to you about that more, Brent. The other thing that went to the Pinal County Water Augmentation Board meeting. The concerns there are bills that are in the legislature now, and I'll get with you and talk to you about one of the bills they have a concern on. The ongoing saga about using non-federal water in the canal continues to go on, and they feel very positive that that will come to fruition. So that's a good thing. So that's my reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Galeen.
Yes, I just want to again thank the Public Works Director, Chris, for your tenacity and keeping an eye on your bottom line and on these contracts, the innovative ways that you, common sense ways that you look at your contracts and how you can get these contractors to provide maximum service for the best amount of money that you can, saving the town thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. I appreciate that.
Vice Mayor Woolridge.
I guess I would just have to ditto what everyone else has said. The home tour is wonderful. I really enjoyed the kids and their presentation. And on a sad note, we lost another longtime community member, Dolores Perkins. She worked for the school district for several years before she passed away. She passed away this past Friday, so just asking for prayers and condolences for her family as well.
We look forward to anybody, I'm so sorry. Mr. Hawkins, I apologize, and Karen, thank you. I had a little check-off list, and I apologize. Councilmember Hawkins.
Well, pretty much everything I've wanted to say has been said, other than I would like to point out how pleasant our staff and employees were during the home tour. I mean, they were working hard, and it's just amazing how everybody had a big smile on their face. It was pleasant. The crowds that were here also, everybody seemed to be really happy. The weather turned out perfect, and I just thought, I thought we put on a good show, a great show, actually. Yes. That's it.
Thank you. It's been brought to my attention as well, and I apologize. So before I do a call to myself, a second call to the public, is there anybody who wanted to speak? I apologize for going out of order. Okay, there is nobody. In my call to the public, I wanted to communicate to everybody that we have our strategic planning retreat this Friday, February 24th. It will be taking place at Pinal County Courthouse starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, and it will go through 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you are interested in attending, we would love to see you there.
Which courthouse?
Pinal County Courthouse.
The old one or the new one? The old one.
The
old one?
The historical one.
Oh, okay.
I apologize. Not only am I apparently not seeing well tonight, I'm not hearing well tonight. Tomorrow evening, we will have the rehearing for the permit, so anybody who would like to come out again, look forward to seeing you there. In regards to the home tour, it was an amazing turnout, and recently this past weekend, I also had an opportunity to reciprocate with one of our neighboring cities of Casa Grande, and I went to the Cowboys and Indian Days. I participated in their parades, and I have some ideas to also share that I learned. So it was amazing. And with this, I need a motion.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.